So we'll move on. We've got an update on Alfa Nero. This is the yacht that is in Antigua. It was seized on the 11th of April by the Antigua government after she was abandoned by her owner, who is believed to be Andrei Guryev. It'd been there over a year. The government deemed it to be a hazard to other shipping, and they seized that vessel with their intention to sell it. Now, in our last video, we talked about some confidential sources that we had who had told us that there were issues with the generators on board and the vessel was down to the last generator. However, the captain of Alfa Nero, who was identified in the Antiguan press as Andy Costa, says there's no issues with the generators on board. He told the local press, this is a quote, "All 3 generators are working well and a 4th one, an emergency backup, is also in good condition." The Antigua port manager, Darwin Telemack, who we did contact before that video went live, he said that the yacht had a recent survey by a national architect and a master surveyor, and the results showed neither mechanical nor technical challenges. Now, we asked if we could see anything to verify that that is the case. They said, and the response from Mr. Telemack was absolutely not. So we also asked for an open dialogue in previous messages. In previous videos here, we've said to the captain, we'd love for you to get in touch so we can talk to you about, you know, the ongoing situation there. We've never had any reply. Obviously, the crew, they are answering now to the government of Antigua because the vessel is effectively owned by them. We also asked Mr. Telemack if we could talk to the crew and for information, and he refused that request also, and he said that any information should go through him. Now, with regards to the sanctions, Mr. Telemack said that we are working. Now, this is a quote I put in the previous video, and he said we are working with OFAC to liquidate this asset, and we are not far from doing that. Now, the ambassador Sanders, who's the ambassador for Antigua, or the ambassador to the US, he said they anticipate that soon the sanctions will be lifted, paving the way for the sale of the vessel. Now, they've also done something else. They've asked if they can get licenses for people to purchase the vessel whilst it's still sanctioned. So effectively, the US would grant licenses to people who I would assume means that they've been pre-approved to buy the vessel while the vessel is still sanctioned. And they will get that license in order for them to take ownership of that vessel. I would say that's a bit risky in terms of buying a vessel that's sanctioned, and you're buying something hoping that eventually at some point they will be lifted. I suppose if you're a US citizen, for instance, if you're from the US, then you're in good stead to have those sanctions listed. But if you were from any other country, then it's more risky than waiting for those sanctions to be lifted, isn't it? But that's what they've said that they're doing. They're applying for those licenses to be able to get people to buy the vessel, even though the sanctions have yet to be lifted. Now, why would the US government be hesitant to remove sanctions, not on this yacht in particular, but on any yacht that is currently sanctioned? Well, obviously they don't want that vessel to be sold and then the original owner to end up with that vessel. Now, we did a series of videos on Yacht Axioma area in Italy, and she left there just as all the sanctions were starting after the invasion of Ukraine, and she headed straight to Sochi through the Black Sea to Sochi. She's been there ever since. As you can see from the AIS, she changed destinations yesterday, and she's now headed back. She's